episode, I want to continue on the conversation of some exercises that you can do at home to keep your muscles in good condition for dance. Last week we spoke about the lower leg and ankle stability. Today we're going to move that conversation down and talk about our feet. Now, it should come as no surprise to anybody that dancers need to invest some time and energy in making sure they really look after their feet. The footwear that you're dancing in at home is really critical to this. Make sure that your dance shoes are well fitted and are well suited to your foot type. The exercises that you use to keep your feet strong are equally as important. I'm going to go through 2 exercises today, and I did want to acknowledge the Australian Ballet Company and their medical team there in a lot of the research that they've done in devising these exercises and sharing that research more broadly. The first of these exercises is called doming. Now, if you haven't heard of doming before, it's an exercise that we use to strengthen the intrinsic muscles of the foot. The intrinsic muscles lie solely within the foot itself. So they start in the foot and they finish in the foot. They've got a really big role in stabilizing the midfoot area, and they also assist in propulsion, so helping you with that push-off when you walk or run, and certainly when you dance. They've got a large role in injury prevention, particularly if you're dancing on point. So worthwhile paying some attention to and making sure you maintain their strength at all times. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about pointing your foot. What we see in a lot of dancers, and particularly a lot of junior dancers, is that when they point their foot, they'll actually curl their toes under. Now, what that does is it relies on the long toe flexors that run to the toes and then around the back of the ankle, and it actually decreases the amount of ankle point that you can achieve, as well as running the risk of overstressing those long toe flexors themselves. Bring in your intrinsics, and all of a sudden what we achieve is long, strong toes, and we increase the amount of ankle range we can achieve, which improves the aesthetic line of the foot as well. So to activate these intrinsics is important. Now, doming is one way we can do this. What you're doing with doming is essentially you want to flatten your toes, press them down into the floor, and at the same time you want to lift those metatarsal heads, which are the knuckles at your forefoot, hold that contraction, and then slowly relax. It's not so much about pulling your toes towards you along the floor. It's just about keeping your toes where they are, pushing them down flat, and then lifting those metatarsal heads. Now, on the side of your foot, when you do that correctly, you should see a muscle tighten up along the side of that foot. That's your abductor hallucis, and it will swell up there. And if you use the tips of your fingers and place them in the spaces between the long bones, the metatarsal bones of your forefoot, you should also feel some muscle swelling up underneath your fingertips when you do that as well. It can be a challenging exercise to get right initially, but if you can persist with this one, it's well worthwhile. The second exercise is what we call toe press downs. Now, you're going to get a lighter resistance TheraBand, so think yellow or maybe red. Orange is good as well. And then what I want you to do is you are going to dome your foot, push that big toe down. The TheraBand is under your big toe. And then once you're in that dome position, maintain that position and just gently provide a bit of resistance to that TheraBand. So now my big toe is having to stay pushed down and flat, but it's working against a bit of resistance to stay there. So we're working our intrinsic muscles of our foot harder. And relax. Be careful that you don't pull so hard on the TheraBand that you actually lose the ability to contract those intrinsic muscles and you start to actually curl the toe under and use your long toe flexors instead. A lot of people do that if they're pulling too hard. So it has to be just a gentle resistance, whatever you can control, and keep your toes flat while you're doing it. Now, if you completed nice and slow 3 sets of 5 under your big toe, this is good. For a more advanced exercise or a progression from this, you can put the TheraBand under your little toe and complete the same thing there. And then you can actually put it individually under each of your toes and repeat the same thing. And that's a really nice way to build that intrinsic strength and control of your foot. So now that you've learned how to activate and strengthen your intrinsic muscles, make sure you use them in your tondu. So when you're going through your foot, push down, flatten those toes as you come up into a tondu, and then you'll start to use those intrinsic muscles to really make them work for you in your dancing. So that's it for foot strengthening. We'll see you soon for some exercises looking a little bit further up the body into the hip area. Keep safe while you dance.